What's good, y'all? Welcome back to the Last Stand podcast. Today I'm with my co-host Kewon Newton, and then we'll be interviewing Justin Phillip. We'll be asking him about life skills. How you doing today?
I'm pretty good, man.
Good. How you feel?
Feel great.
Feel great. Yeah. Haven't seen y'all in a while. But I think we're just gonna hop right into it. So we got you because we think you're a pretty wise individual. You got life skills and everything. So we want to start off, and ask you what are like some strategies, you use to complete some assignments and projects and like your time management. How you do that?
I think for any evidence you can go into it. If it's something really complicated, then you can maybe seek advice and help beyond that. Sometimes you might not be able to complete projects on your own,
Yeah.
but if you educate yourself, and more educate yourself, and try small things, you do small things first. Gain confidence. You can do small things, and you figure out how the mechanics of things work. Then you can always go and do more difficult things beyond that.
Okay. So basically, just confidence is key.
Yeah. I think confidence that you can do it is a very big factor.
Okay.
Education is probably more important.
Yeah.
So education builds confidence.
Yeah.
Uh, I know this is hard for everybody, but how do you get motivated for life every day? Like when you wake up?
Motivation.
Yeah.
Well, at what stage? At my stage right now, or when I was younger, like you guys?
Yeah, like
Yeah,
when you
was
were
our
younger.
age,
Yeah.
17, 18.
Yeah.
Um, when I was 17, 18, I think you just life was fun. So you're excited to have fun that day. Um, so the things you're gonna do, you're looking forward to do things because it's
Yeah.
just fun. You don't have any responsibilities per se, and you're just having fun. But as you grow, then and you start learning who you are as a person and what you are and what you're made to do as a man, then you start having to realize, oh, I'm gonna have to prepare for life.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have people that depend their life is gonna depend on me. So then it becomes more again back down to educating yourself and figuring out what am I gonna be the best in the world at,
Yeah.
and how am I gonna support my family in the future, and that kind of stuff. So
Okay.
getting up and being motivated, you have no choice as a man, I think, because you're made to be fruitful. So
Yeah.
you should you're always looking at ways to improve and do better as an individual.
Yeah. 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 And along with that, in life, you'll go through some disagreements with people. How do you handle disagreements with people? Like, how do you approach them?
That's something I actually have to work on. I'm still working on that. But I think my days of playing team sports really helped with that aspect, because I've learned like that you hear take all information you hear, all the critics you hear,
Yeah.
you listen to them.
Yeah.
Even if you might not like some things that are being said, you listen and you evaluate and internalize what you think makes sense to you, and you can start changing those things. So sometimes I might disagree with something, but let's say somebody is an expert in that field,
Yeah.
then maybe I will say, okay, for now I'm gonna put myself apart, my ego apart, and go with what that person's saying at this point, and then I will start working on figuring out the truth, and figuring out, okay, is this something that makes sense for me?
Okay.
So sometimes it changes. It all depends on the situation. But
Yeah.
So with that, like handling disagreements, how do you like how do you manage your emotions in them type of situations? Like agree with like disagreements and agreements and stuff.
well, I think managing your emotions is you can have self control. Again, this is an area that we all can work on. But um, it all depends on the situation you're in there too, right? If you're at work per se, or you're doing a project at school, um, you still have to your colleagues. So you have to find ways to find common ground and figure out what's the best way to move forward. So instead of and you understanding through life, through trials and error, especially that getting angry never really
Yeah.
solves everything or help you solve a situation. So a lot of times it's best for you to just get control of your emotions and take the Bible's instruction to heart and be slow to speak. Um, you don't talk too much. Quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to anger. Right. So
Yeah. And with life skills and all, do you think there's a lot of life skills that we can learn from the Bible?
absolutely, you. I think it's the book of skills basically. I think especially for how to cooperate with each other.
Yeah.
So when you talk about emotions, there's a lot of advice. You read the book of Proverbs, it's a book of pretty much advice that you can take to heart and and implement in your life for better relationships with people.
Mm,
Right.
yeah. And for our audience, maybe people your age, our age, in between, or whatnot, just any um, advice in general for growing in life and just adjusting to new things and stuff like that.
Advice. I'll just take my own life for example. I used to think a lot of things were dumb, especially going to school and that kind of stuff. Like, why am I doing this? And I think I used to say I'll never use this or I'll never do this in life or stuff like that. And I would say you don't know what 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 kind of ball you're going what kind of ball is going to be pitched to you in life. So everything that comes your way, take the opportunity to learn. So when you're going to school, take every opportunity to learn as much as you can. Even in, let's say, for example, I did not like let's say humanities and like English literature and that kind of stuff. But I find that those same things are also valuable because sometimes when you go around circles or people that are more educated, sometimes your knowledge of those topics actually allow you to fit in and actually be able to maybe garner you some respect on that front. And sometimes maybe your parents might be telling you, "Hey, keep your room clean," or "Come and help me do, come and help me do something in the garden," or "Hey, help me fix my car." You might say, "I don't want to do that," but I think anything you can get to learn it. For example, let's say your parents did gardening, right?
Yeah.
And you don't like it, but you learn it. You never know. That could end up being a source of income for you in the future. Let's say you play sports or anything you can do can end up being a benefit for you down the line. So I always say take advantage of anything that comes your way. Like for me, like I personally um, with my kids. So just last week, my alternator went out on my car,
Yeah.
and I ensured that my boys came up with me to fix that.
Okay.
We had to actually do everything you see here because um, yes, it became frustration, um, and you just take piece by piece and figure it out. Again, you got information, um, and you gain confidence. And then again, I already had the confidence I could do it.
Yeah.
But what ended up happening is the alternator was not the problem for me. It was putting back on the fan belt,
Uh,
which my impatience, I don't like to follow diagrams, and I could not figure out to put back on the fan belt. But one of my sons, which is better at doing diagrams, could figure that out, and he actually figured out how to put on the fan belt and put that in, and we had our alternator put back in the car, working perfectly.
Uh,
So again, there you go. Like just opportunity for me, starting out, putting in gas in the car, and then maybe changing tires, then maybe changing the battery, and then maybe changing the radiator at some point, putting in the headlights at some point.
yeah.
Maybe taking off the starting motor at some point. Then I've never really did an alternator before. Then no, saying, hey, I think I have the confidence I can do the alternator as well.
Okay.
So I think just take every opportunity you have to learn and learn it, and just don't say, hey, I've never used this in life, because you just never know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And plus, also when you're volunteering, like I find when I go and volunteer places, the skills I pick up from not necessarily my main job, it actually allows me to help and be valuable when I go and volunteer. Like a church wants somebody to paint, or want somebody to help with the sheetrock work, or even helping with electrical or whatever.
Yeah.
Those little things that you learn throughout life really are helpful with just volunteering and making your time useful, in different circumstances.
Yeah. That's good. That's good. Kewon, you got any more questions?
Uh, I would like for you to give us all some advice. What is the 3 rules that you follow, that you've been following throughout your life?
You guys give me some tough questions. Well, I'm gonna have to use maybe the rules I use now. I'm gonna have to think about this a little bit. But one of the things I always try to do is, and it's, I try to use some litmus tests, I will say. So one of the things I try to do is I try to do things that the more I do it, the better I become. So, for example, let's say eating vegetables. For example, the more you eat it, the better it is for you, right?
Yeah.
But eating candy, the more you do it, the worse it becomes for you.
Yeah, definitely.
So let's say somebody want to pass me some weed or something like that. I said, well, how do you judge if it's good for you or not?
Yeah.
I said, the more I do this, would it be beneficial for me? Or the more I do it, it'll be worse for me. That's one of the things I actually try to use in life to make decisions. And then also, another thing I try to use also is I also try to look at the fruits of everything that comes in front of me. So let's say there's an organization or whatever. I always look at what that thing is producing, because a lot of things can fool you, but the fruits of can never fool you. So somebody can say something, but when you see what they produce, it always tell you the truth. So those are 2 things I kind of always use to help me make decisions and move forward in life. Also, I think just giving full effort in everything you do. Whatever you do, do it to the best. As the Bible said, do it unto Christ. Just do your best at anything you do. So that would be 3 things I would say.
Okay. Yeah. Well, we appreciate everything you said, and hopefully we can take that and put it in our lives and hopefully use that. We really do appreciate you for coming on and everything, and hopefully the audience can also take some life skills that you use in your everyday life. But yeah, thanks for joining in, and that's today's episode on the Lions Den podcast. See you next time.